He's so perfect. He's so perfect. He really found the one who makes you happy. The one who never ever disagrees. The one who protects you silently from loving me. Everyone likes him. He's the tallest and the strongest in the village. Your mom thinks he's the one that you should keep. But have you ever noticed he doesn't seem to blink? I'm starting to think he's not a man. You've fallen in love with an automaton, forged by gnomes in the deepest part of the mountain. To protect them, you have a choice, but he has no concept of love or remorse. A clockwork heart turns the gears that make you feel brand new when he touches you. Found by your father, buried in a mass grave with his creators. He was supposed to be their gnomish savior. But if he can't even protect some stupid gnomes, why bring him home? Is it to spite me? You said when you looked at me you had no feelings. But automaton often asks, what is feelings? So go break up with him and take back this slob, or I'll tell the mob he's not a man. You've fallen in love with an automaton, forged by gnomes in the deepest part of the mountain. To protect them, you have a choice, but he has no concept of love or remorse. A clockwork heart turns the gears that make you feel brand new when he touches you. Kill the monster! Shovels and pitchforks turn his light up this night of purity. Destroy the monster, cast him into hell for eternity. Her father's farmhouse, automaton, this is the mob alone. We surround him, tear out the gift place lovingly by gnomes.
Hey, hello, Styled Man. I forgot to unmute myself. That was great.
Hello.
Okay, say something again. I forgot to do levels before we started.
Hello.
Oh, you were a little loud for everybody.
Whoa.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Whoa! Oh, actually, no, you're a little quiet. Okay, now I gotta turn myself up. I gotta turn myself down a little bit. I gotta turn myself down a little bit. Okay, la 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 la. No, no. Oh, hold on. La 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 la. No, we gotta turn myself up now. La 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 la. Okay, okay. Ah! Let
Ah.
me. I need to turn myself up so I can hear you. Okay, so. Let me hit the send on the tweet. Yep. Okay, I hit send on the tweet. If you could give it a retweet, my friend, I would appreciate that. Since you're also in it.
Yes.
Ah, yes. I apologize, everyone, for my frumpy appearance. I've been depressed. That's it. There's no other explanation for it. I, I had a good week last week. That being that said, there was still, enough anxiety on a daily basis that I cried, because I cry every fucking day. But, yeah, I've been sad, depressed, So, yeah, I didn't shave, and I'm still wearing pajamas, and too fucking bad. That's where that is about that. Now it's
Deal
hot
with
in
it.
here because I had to close my fucking window. This backlit, nice little backlight I have right here. That's my window curtains open, but my close my windows because if someone goes outside, you can start hearing them talking. So, yeah.
I don't
Um,
close my windows when it gets hot outside. I keep them open.
I just do it because literally if someone's right outside my window because the front door's right there. So like, if someone's right outside, like someone knocks on the door or my parents decide to have a conversation on the phone outside, you'll hear everything clearly because it's right there, like right there.
Mm.
So, so up first this week, I'm a little
Yeah.
sluggish too, so I apologize. The energy seems weird in
Oh,
this episode. Just gonna be how it is. For our 1500th movie watch together, it's 1,500. For those who don't know the conversion of that, some people don't. Oddly enough, these days. 1,500 movies we watched together since 2014. When I started cataloging
we
Russo.
probably watch even more than that. It's
We have
just
probably watched
since
2,000 movies.
2014.
I think we were
Yeah,
close to 2,000 movies, probably.
probably.
Because, I mean, like, easily 365 movies from 2013.
Hmm.
366 we did, actually. Plus, another 100 or 200 from the years before that. We weren't watching movies regularly. 2013
Yeah.
really is where all this started. Where Project Flicks, which we did for
Mhm.
Geeky that back in the day, the website we used to. He started and I joined. Anyway, old M Night Shyamalan. I M Night Shy. Gotta look at it again. M Night Shyamalan. Jesus fuck, I still probably butchered it, and I do apologize. I tried. I'm not good with the fucking names.
Or as, or
And
as he has been called several times elsewhere, Shabalama Ding Dong,
yeah, I didn't want to be
which
disrespectful though.
is offensive. But
Yeah, I didn't want to be disrespectful either because it's not like it's not
um,
his fault. This is the name he has. And I'm just like an asshole who can't speak.
I will say he is one of the more indulgent directors
Yeah,
of our times. Like
yeah. I think
he
I think
really
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
he loves having not only starring roles in his movies, but I mean roles in which he plays a character that
A prominent
if we
character.
didn't if we didn't know that he was going to be an important character in the film, the fact that he shows up as an important character in almost every fucking film he does is like a tip off now. Like at this point, he does it so goddamn always that it's like you just expect like, oh, this character is going to be more important than he
I think
looks.
in
You
Sixth
know,
Sense he's not that important, but in Unbreakable, well,
Signs especially.
Who
In
was he in
Signs, he
Unbreakable? Hold on.
literally gives the fucking exposition to the whole fucking movie.
Who was Unbreakable? Well, who was he in Unbreakable? That's who I can't remember.
Hmm, good question. I don't remember
Cause
either.
like yeah, let me see here. I can actually go M Night Shyamalan.
Oh
Jesus
god,
fucking Christ.
bang on.
Fuck sakes. Hey, thanks for the follow. I will have to look at who the fuck that was in a second. I am looking. All right, M Night. Where are you? I'm just gonna call him M Night so I can stop butchering his name. Night. Great, that's you. He plays Jai. I don't remember who Jai is in that movie. It's been long enough that we should probably revisit that. And then we can talk about the whole trilogy. We can do the whole trilogy and talk about it here. But yeah, films by earliest first. So, yeah, he does Signs, and then he does Village. The Village he plays a smaller part, but it's also a very important part. And then,
His characters are typically small character
I
roles,
think
but
Lady in the Water is
they
the one
play
that's the
important
most.
roles.
Lady in the Water is the one that's the most glaring issue, I think.
Yeah,
We need to rewatch that too, honestly. I don't remember
I
who it
like
wasn't
that one
happening either.
honestly. A lot of people hate that movie, and I'm just like, nope, I like it. It's good. You're
I
wrong.
like Lady in the Water. I also like The Happening, but like, yeah.
The Happening, I watched it again, I think like a year ago, and was not. It's still not very good. It's okay. It's still not very good. I can't even legitimately say like it's because I don't like Mark Wahlberg or something like that, and I don't like Mark Wahlberg all that much. But he was perfectly fine in the movie. Like everybody's fine in that movie. It's just
yeah.
kind of
Like,
mediocre.
I need to rewatch it because I saw it in the theaters and I very much enjoyed it. And when I saw the black backlash, I was confused. I'm like, I mean, it's not like it's everyone's like, oh, it's so blah blah. He's just staring at nothing. I'm like, yeah, because it's invisible. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I don't
like
understand what you're talking about. Like, what? Like, yeah, of course he's staring at something you can't see. He's just staring off because there's just nothing to look at. I mean, I don't know. I just
he's trying to
people
find some kind of a pattern.
a big
You know?
complaint I see is people like it's like is in a lot of movies it's unrealistic, and I have to remind myself when I think to myself that's not realistic. Is guess what? Movies aren't required to give you any sort of realism at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
the Crank
especially
movies.
M Night Shyamalan.
Look at the Crank movies. They are surrealist films. They're surrealist action
Mhm.
films because they're so beyond any kind of reality. Drive Angry, another example. A movie that's like great,
Fast and the
but
Furious. Like
Fast and Furious becomes that slowly. Like I like that the internet caught on early that Fast and Furious is basically a D&D game, and like the first four movies, they're just regular people leveling up, and then you get to the fifth movie and they all start getting epic levels and doing things like flying around and like jumping from moving cars and taking no damage and shit you would expect from like a level like an epic level character in D&D or whatever, you know. And now they're fucking flying cars in space. That I saw the new Fast and Furious. It was great. I hope in the next one they cross over with Jurassic Park, and I don't mean that with any kind of sarcasm. I mean that honestly because I think that would be just ridiculous bonkers, and I would want to see it.
yeah,
But old is, I would say, being fair with it, I think it is an attempt at a cerebral horror, an attempt at a commentary on both our culture obsessed with beauty as well as our culture obsessed with aging. And, I don't know if it's entirely successful at what it's trying to execute.
me either.
Like I knew there was going to be some sort of reveal at the end. What they revealed, I think, is just generic. I don't know.
Well, you know what it felt like to me at the end. And I think I said this at the time too. Was that it felt like a Twilight Zone episode, and that's not a bad thing per se.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
I think it's a good thing actually, but it is something like you've seen that kind of a twist before. You kind of can see it coming from a certain perspective. Like you were halfway through the movie noticing things that you're like, wait a minute, this is going to be one of those movies, isn't it? Like, yep, yep. um, but yes, it definitely has one of those feels of like this is a different universe that is very similar to our own, that looks very similar to our own, has a very similar appearance to our own. But there's something off about it. And that is like, whenever I think of a scenario like that, I immediately am reminded of Twilight Zone, because that's very Rod Serling. You know, it's very it's very much the kind of stuff they tried to do with Twilight Zone, which is, you know, to give you a scenario and a location and a character or group of characters that felt like something you could relate to, but were in some way different, or they were in some way in a location or a place or situation that was abnormal. And that's one of the things I love the most about Twilight Zone. So it's like, seeing that in this movie is not a bad thing, but if you've seen a million Twilight Zone episodes, like most of us have, then you're very, very familiar with it, and it does feel very, you know, almost, I don't want to use the word cliche, but it does kind of feel like that. It feels like, yeah, I've had this experience before, you know? Now, do I think I've had the exact experience of do I think I've had the exact experience of old before? No. It feels not fresh, but it is it is fairly unique.
So I started doing
it's cliche, but
Sorry.
it's fairly unique.
So I started doing a new thing where I asked, tell some of your favorite movies you have seen recently, right? As my post, specifically to get interactions, and also because now I can see, like, my friend watched Evil Dead 2013 and Tremors 5 Bloodlines, and another one watched Ticks from 1993 and, like, Graduation Day from 1981, and, like, all like, it's like, I don't know, it's like some of these are gonna be like recommendations for us, because I. Oh, by the way, Sonic 2 is now on Paramount
I
Plus.
know.
So
I know.
that'll probably be tonight or this weekend. Yeah, I mean, I would say a lot of the young characters in this movie are written like someone who hasn't been young for a while.
Yes.
I can tell.
They're definitely written by people who are not themselves young. Yeah.
AKA M. Night, who I think is the one who wrote it. But, like it feels like an adult pretending what a teen would say.
Mm-hmm.
And the rapper name is really, like, no one would call themselves that. Like,
You took way more issue with that than I did, because I felt like,
it's just...
yeah, I could see that kind of a name being used.
No, it's too ridiculous.
I have seen some ridiculous names.
Like?
Because I have to...
No, I'm kidding.
I can't remember. They're
I know.
all fucking so bad that I
Lil
can't
Uzi
remember
Vert?
them all.
What? I'll fight you.
Because, like, I literally have to fucking write about, you know, concerts that are happening in various cities around the world.
Yeah, but
you know.
subcompact
And so,
minivan, or
as
whatever
I'm
fucking name
hold on,
is.
as I'm doing the
Sedan?
research for this shit, I have to
sakes.
go through hundreds of different fucking band names and artist names and
Fuck's
stuff like that.
sakes.
And if I don't even want to remember all the names, because some of them are really, really stupid.
What was
They're
it
like
specifically?
ridiculously stupid.
Mid-size sedan. What the fuck?
Mid-size
That
sedan,
is
yeah.
that is the kind of name someone who has never listened to fucking rap would name a fucking rapper. Okay? Just prove me wrong, motherfucker. Prove me wrong. You can't. Like, this movie's not a bad movie, but that fucking character name is just bad because it's just nonsensical. Like, Usually the rap is like some sort of intimidation thing, or like, I don't know, like it's just like mid-size sedan. What the fuck? Mid-size sedan. Imagine putting an album out calling yourself mid-size sedan and not expecting someone to yell at you. Like, what the fuck? It's and that don't require the movies to be believable. I just thought that was a bad choice for a rapper name. Of all a billion things, you could have chose better than that. You know? Like I said, it reeks of somebody who hasn't listened to rap in a very long time. Once again, maybe not M. Night, but I can assume.
My God, there is actually a hip hop artist by the name of No Cap. I'm not even kidding.
With a K or a
like,
C?
With a C.
Oh, okay.
There's also a hip hop artist by the name of Coffee with a K.
Okay,
those
make sense though. Like, I mean,
yeah.
No Cap's an internet meme. Mid-sized sedan is not an internet meme. It's a type of fucking vehicle. Like,
I see these ridiculous names all the time, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I was like, it sounds.
Your duty from now on is the next time you see a ridiculous name, you gotta send me that name. I'm
just glad we've gotten over the period of time where almost every indie band was named after like an 80s movie or something. Like,
that's still happening. What are you talking
about? Well, not as frequent.
Or no, now you get bands with names that are like a sentence. That's my favorite. You can tell I'm getting old. We're complaining about music. I actually like a lot of those bands. I just think it's funny that it's like how many cool band names can you find? I mean, at some point you run out, right? I can understand why you're just like, we're just gonna name ourselves the Breakfast Club. Fuck it. Like, I get it. Like, I get it. Like, I can't blame a single person. You know how fucking hard it is to name a band? I can't even think about it. I'm trying to name characters from a D&D game is hard enough. I have to use generators sometimes. I just can't think. Usually I generate a bunch of usernames, and then like one of the last names will catch me, and that'll inspire me to figure out a name.
Oh, here's a name for you: Black Tiger Sex Machine.
That's an awesome fucking. Is that a real rapper?
That's a real artist. I don't know if they're a rapper.
Black
but it's an artist.
Tiger Sex Machine. I seriously. Holy fuck! That's a real band. I'm gonna watch that later. I have to. I think I have to like. They all have like, okay, so it's a trio, and they have like these like furry helmets, but they're like cyborg furry helmets, so they're like robot dog heads, or I guess maybe they're tiger heads, probably robot tiger heads. It's very like, it's like emo. I'm just guessing. I've not heard a single thing. I'm guessing it's emo. What's that band who did the Tron soundtrack that I'm blanking on the name of right now? Shit.
Daft Punk?
Thank you. It's like emo Daft Punk. That's what it looks like. Meanwhile,
I just have to say, you balked at the idea of mid-sized sedan, but would you balk at the idea of the name Khaki King?
Oh no, Khaki King. Oh, Cocky King. Is it? Wait. Is it Kaki?
Yeah,
King?
yeah.
That's a fucking person. Their name's Cocky
really?
King, you asshole.
Okay.
Never mind. I thought you were thinking Khaki King, like the fucking. That's not how you spell cockies. That's not how you spell cockies. You fuck.
Well, like
she's awesome. What are you talking about?
Spellings and shit.
Oh my god, you made me laugh at somebody I like. I hate you. You're going to hell. I'm sending you to hell. If I have an option, you're going to hell. That's it.
Okay, fine. I'll find another stupid
For
name.
fuck's sakes. Anyway, my point being, is shut the fuck up. God. All right. So as far as the explanation of what the beach is, the explanation of the movie, I should say. I don't want to give away. It's like I felt that it was a really mundane compared to what was apparently a supernatural phenomenon. But I guess it's not supernatural. They're grounded in some sort of like reality, right? But I don't know. I liked lots like bits of it. I would not say it was a successful movie for me. It did not capture me. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Like, I didn't hate it. and give it a couple years and I'll watch it again. And maybe I'll like it more. Right? That's
I
that's
think
how
I give it
things
like
go.
a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's nothing that really stands out as especially impressive or you know it just wasn't stand out. It didn't really
No, I
make you
mean,
go, oh damn, that's an amazing movie. Like
I mean,
it's
like
okay.
comparison to other M Night films, it was pretty weak, honestly. Literally all
Yeah.
his other movies, I think. I think The
They
Happening was
can't all be
better.
winners though. I mean,
No, they can't all be winners. And I mean, I haven't seen Avatar yet
oh God,
because I've never seen
don't.
the series. No, I'm going to because I've never seen the series. I want to watch it first. Then I want to watch the series.
You want to watch that and then the series,
Yes,
but
because I
then
want to watch the
you will
movie.
have no context to understand.
Maybe it's fine as a movie without the context of the series. That's what I'm going to find out, having not seen a single moment of the show. I want to watch this movie, see if it's an okay movie by itself. Like sometimes people are like, that's a terrible movie. It's not this movie. I'm like, yeah, but it's actually a good movie. It's just not a good rendition of the thing it was trying to adapt, right? There's like a fine line there. So I wanted to watch the movie first. Yes, I know, it's gonna hurt me, whatever. And then I was gonna watch the series. That was my goal.
Someone named themselves Willy Wonka.
What?
It's so like nobody's actually fucking putting any effort into these names. You just calling yourself Willy Wonka?
Old man
Uh,
styled rants.
my favorite, like Allison Wonderland. Last name Wonderland, first name Allison.
That's actually pretty awesome.
Like it
Surprised no one's done that before. Honestly, we're like what 130 years into recorded music, right? Like the way it is, and it's like so only now someone did Alice in Wonderland. I don't know. I have no problem with that. Well, like the thing bothers me is there's a band called Audrey Horne, and there's not a. I don't think there's a single woman in the band. And I'm just like, I
wow.
just what I. Why can't you? Female singer? I mean, like I don't know. Anyway, we should get back to the movies. We're a movie show, not a music show. We're just showing that we don't know what the fuck we're talking about with music. We're two old fucks, whatever.
Yes.
So I gave it 6 out of 10. You gave it 7 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good. I'll give it a few years of just being in the meat juices there, and then I'll watch it again and see if I like it again. Like that's what I have to do with that. Next, we watched Hawk the Slayer.
Hawk the Slayer.
Yeah, the fantasy film we watched.
I have no recollection of this movie. I think
All
that's
right.
probably
We'll pass then. All right, Death on the Nile, the sequel to Murder on the Orient Express that we watched or talked about last
yes.
episode.
Okay, so Death on the Nile genuinely felt like a movie that was made during the pandemic because there were a lot of little things they did. And that wasn't necessarily entirely the case, mind you, but there were a lot of little things they did in filmmaking that was just like the way that it was shot felt like they were, shooting one person over here and then cut shooting one person over here and they were never in the same room together.
I
That
realize now
kind of thing.
they probably weren't because it was probably scheduling more than it was COVID. I bet it's a pretty star-studded cast, to be super honest. Like, there's a lot of stars in this movie. Like the last one, it's just like character actors up the wazoo, and then you have some like a bunch of big stars playing small roles, and it's just like I don't know. I like this vibe that he's going on with these casts. So the two casts that they've done with these two movies. I just want someone to return and be in another mystery. I just think it'd be really cool. This did not feel as well shot, per your previous comment, as the last one. The last one felt almost indulgent.
Well, because the
I think you used
Murder
that
on the
word
Orient
already.
Express
Shit.
literally had that scene. It had that scene with where they were referencing the Last Supper, right?
When they literally were all posed the same. Like that was such a cool shot.
It was a really great fucking
But that
shot. And
whole
then this
movie,
one, it's like there's really no shot in this movie
like,
that looks even remotely as good as that.
the ability
one. I mean,
to shoot in a train car is limited because it's limited space. And now they did it on a set, so they were to pull away walls and stuff. But like, the way he shot down the aisles and where he shot through windows and the way he shot over like you were there was always like in that movie it felt like you were always like a character watching the scene or someone watching from the outside the train or someone watching it from the next car down. Like a lot of that movie feels like that. And it's not actually shot in cinema verite style or anything. It's just the way he frames all that stuff. In this movie in Death on the Nile feels more flat. And I think, like I said, it's probably because of scheduling issues. They had such a star-studded cast. Some people were in the Marvel movies. Some people are in other big blockbuster franchises, you know?
Yeah, and there was also... It wasn't just
I gather there were probably reshoots,
the actors and all that stuff. It was like major portions of the film were shot definitely on a set. Like, you could see the water. They were literally, like, on a set. It wasn't...
Yeah.
It wasn't in the ocean. It wasn't.
Like, I'm cool with that though.
It's fine because they tried to do that with Waterworld and look what happened. But
yeah, I feel like
there's becoming too indulgent with that kind of thing.
They built the whole set for those giant towers with the push where they push the rock down. That whole sequence. They built that set and they built the ship. And I think, and building the whole ship on the set was, I think, the smart idea. Should they have spent a little bit more money in the backgrounds? Probably. But I don't think you're supposed to be paying attention to the backgrounds. We're just sniveling assholes. You know? Yeah. I really fucking like this movie, but, like, not as much as Murder on the Orient Express, which I felt was more Branagh's style. And this is more... His hand feels forced by the limitation of probably the scheduling, you know. Plus, I gather that he shot it in 2019, at the end of 2019, right? And I gather there was probably some reshoots, and this probably happened during the pandemic. So there's probably virtue of having to do some reshoots. Almost every movie has to. People think it's a sign of a problem, but it's not. There's almost every movie gets to a thing and thinks. Sometimes it's, you know, maybe the sound's bad. Maybe the fucking the shot is bad in some way. Maybe the framing's wrong. Maybe it's out of focus. Whatever, right? Maybe you think, oh, I should have done it this way instead. And so when you go to reshoots, you shoot it in a different way, and it helps the movie. It's not necessarily a negative thing. Reshoots that is.
I have a kitty.
Hi, kitty. So when movies get reported on, like, oh, there's reshoots required, that's like it's almost like a hit piece against the movie, right? So it makes you think, oh no, there's trouble afoot, and then it actually hurts the box office. It's like literally there's like this PR war against each other's movies and shit for a lot of them. So like, it happens. So
But I didn't hate this movie. Like, I don't think it's as good as Murder on the Orient Express, but, like, I do think it gets pretty dang close.
It's very good.
There are a few minor issues that I think keep it from being as good as Murder on the Orient Express was, but it's still quite good. And, like, I would highly recommend people if you're interested in watching the first one, do a double bill. Watch them both together. You'll have a blast.
Yeah, or I would suggest one night and one the other night, because that's the best way to do it, I think. Let each one breathe, you know? Now, maybe each one should be part of a different double bill. That's fine, but, like, I think the two movies right at one after the other might be a bit... I don't know how that'd feel, because it's... Like, both movies have a bit of claustrophobia going with them. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know how that'd make me feel. That might probably depress me, just because it's so much claustrophobic filmmaking. Yeah, so Death on the Nile, I gave that 8 out of 10. And I gave... I gave Murder on the Orient Express an 8 out of 10 also. So...
But yeah, it's interesting because, like, it's so close together. It's like the same, but for like a few moments or a few small things with the movie, it's like, you know, you definitely don't like this one as much, but you also like it enough that you don't want to necessarily give it a different rating.
Have you bought Death on the Nile yet?
No.
When you do, because I know you're gonna wait for a deal, grab a second one for me because I want it too. But I also
Okay.
don't pay attention enough to those things because I do a million other things. And
It
keep
was actually
myself
part of
busy.
a Disney movie, the latest Disney movie club deal or whatever the fuck the deal that they give you. You know,
Oh yeah. Oh, so
like
that was the two movies together.
kind of. What they did was like they had it where you get a Blu-ray copy of Murder on the Orient Express and the 4K of Death on the Nile. And it's like,
All right,
okay,
whatever.
but I already have the Blu-ray of Murder on the Orient Express. I don't
They
need
have
it
an old card
again.
on file, and I never changed it, and then I just put their fucking emails in my spam box. They're never gonna send me movies, and then they're never gonna charge me, so I can just ignore them now. It's effectively my account is canceled without having to talk to a single person. Me, I'm smart. It only took me like 7 years. Do you want to talk about Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia? Or do you want to pass?
Um, I think what I said at the time
Sorry.
was that it's kind of like a required, I wouldn't say required, but like it is the kind of thing that I think people should watch if they want to get an idea of what Americana is really
What
like.
it's like
The
to grow
both
up in
the
Appalachia? Yeah.
yeah, both the positives and the many, many, many negatives of, but it's like, if you want to understand Americans, this
I
is
think
something. There are certain movies that I feel like people should watch to understand Americans. If you're a foreigner and you
what
don't understand Americans, it's like
what was that documentary we
this one I think
watched?
helps. This one I think would give you a better sense
What
than
was that
most movies.
documentary we watched? The political one. We went on a political rant in that one episode. The fuck? That'd be a good double
The
bill with this,
the one,
honestly.
yes, the one with the
The
coal
fuck?
miners,
Yeah. What the
right?
fuck was it called?
Oh, I forget it. I forget it.
Harlan County, USA.
Harlan,
I would
yes,
double bill Harlan County, USA, and the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. That is a perfect double bill. One, it shows
yeah,
you from a historical angle, from a news reporting angle, what was happening, and then you see the after effects of this. Basically, what happened there also happened where the whites are from. The whites are of Outlaw are
yeah.
folk dancers and singers, and like there's a long lineage for that. There's some documentaries you can find on YouTube. We watched one of them after Wild Whites of West Virginia. I don't know if I could actually do this movie any justice, to be super honest with you.
Yeah.
I suggest you watch it. That's all I can do.
We there are warnings that we should probably give. Like there's heavy drug use.
There's
There's
some racial slurs.
yes, because
I
you
think the
know,
S slur is used once by someone. It was the 90s or whatever, like it was really
well,
common. Actually, it was
also it's
2009 or
part of
whatever.
that
Whatever.
culture. It's just
When
it's
was it shot?
sadly it's one of those things that it's the South
It was shot in a
essentially.
different year, but it was
So
released in 2009. I don't remember when it was shot. I feel like it was like the early 2000s.
and these are essentially the hillbillies. So
Yeah,
yeah, you're gonna see that kind of thing, and that's part of the reason why I'm like,
Jessica
you
White
should
is the
really
name.
understand this kind of thing about Americans. If you don't know anything about Americans and you just make assumptions about them, then like this would help to give you a better sense of what's going on. You know,
Also, the documentary I was talking about is called Dancing Outlaw, which you can find on YouTube, and we watched that right after Wild
it was like a
Wonderful.
PBS documentary,
Yeah,
right?
and there's a sequel to it that was done also, and then there was another documentary that was being shot when, or being edited when was it Jessica White? Shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jessica White was shot and killed or whatever. I think that's right.
Like you
No, no,
shot?
no. Jessica
I don't
White's
know.
dad. Sorry, Jessica White's dad, whose name I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
remember.
yeah.
But yeah, like Jessica White's dad was shot and killed like the day after, or the day like during the editing process of a movie that starred him. So he was a folk outlaw dancer. His son was a folk outlaw dancer, and I don't know what else is happening after that because it was the early 2000s when they were filming it. It's released in 2009. I highly recommend it. I'm not gonna put it on the list. Just because, or Dancing Outlaw, just because we can't really like talk about it. You should just see it. Firestarter
Yes.
though, from 1984, we could talk about.
We watched that one because
The
the
new
new
one.
one came out.
Yeah.
And we've been meaning to watch this one for a while together. I've already seen it.
I'd never
I
seen it
had
before.
already seen it. And yeah, I don't think it's a perfect movie. I think there are some issues with it. It's just uh
The creepy old man who wants the girl. Ugh.
yeah. Um
It sounds really weird. There's like a weird undertone of pedophilia in that movie, like from the bad guy characters.
sometimes you watch or read or learn about a Stephen King story and you're just like, what the fuck, Stephen? What the
Coke,
fuck?
cocaine. That's the answer, by the way. That's why we
But
had the
was it
greatest.
all
That's why we had
because
the
like
best Stephen King movie ever, at Maximum Overdrive. Cocaine. We should all thank cocaine for her lovely work.
God, there are some elements of like racism in some of the things that he
Hmm.
talks about. Then some elements of like child abuse and other things, and just like
Yes, and the systematic
is
abuse by the government of people also is
yeah.
a heavy theme in this movie. I really like this movie, by the way. Yeah, it's hard to understand. I don't think the pedophilic element is in the original Firestarter. He wants to. I remember reading the wiki afterwards that the guy wants the girl to kill her or whatever because she thinks he's like an abomination or whatever, right? But
Mhm.
like, yeah, uh, I liked
And
the
of course
remake version of that character a hell of a lot more.
they cast a
White guy.
prominent white guy,
Yeah,
Italian guy, as the Native American character in the original Firestarter,
in 1984.
and it genuinely like I can't believe anybody actually ever thought, yeah, that's a Native American. Like it does not. He doesn't even come close to looking like a Native American. It just
Mm-mm.
ugh. It's really weird. And there are a lot of creepy moments with him and little Drew Barrymore in that movie. It's very
From
ew.
all the bad guy characters had this weird, creepy undertone, whether it's intentional or not.
Yeah.
It may very well just be unintentional. They're just trying to be creepy, and then we're eating into it. Perhaps I don't know, but like once again, artistic intent doesn't mean dick. Um,
Yeah. I
but
think my
yeah,
favorite thing about the story is that it's very much like it puts into perspective how Stephen King's stories can work together to become like a fucking comic book kind of a story almost.
I mean, yeah, he's basically making the
It's
X Men, but horror.
yeah, it's basic. It's a lot like X-Men. This isn't a new commentary, but it's
Yeah, it's not. Other people
it's
definitely
something
said
you
this.
have to it's something you definitely have to mention about it because it's like, yeah, that's an element of it.
I feel like
And I like that about it,
Stephen
honestly.
King read X Men comics, and then he was just like,
Got his own little
I
ideas
like
for
that
it.
idea. Let me
Yeah.
make a horror version of having those powers. And then he went off from that, and that's such a vague starting point. I'm not saying he ripped anything off. I'm saying he's clearly inspired by
Yeah.
superhero stuff, but like he's inspired by the horror aspect of it. And an era, by the way, when not many people were exploring such things. Now we've had like a dozen, 2 dozen movies that are horror slash superhero stuff, especially since Chronicle came out. Though they existed, a few of them existed before. After Chronicle, which is basically a horror superhero film in a lot of ways, it's also found footage. I need to rewatch it. I haven't seen that since we all watched it together that one time, way back when. But
Remember
like
almost nothing about it.
ever since then, there's been a lot of deconstructionist, horrific horror, body horror style takes, including the Fan Four Stick from the same director. That I think is what that Stephen King was kind of tapping into with this and Carrie and uh, what are the other ones? Dead Zone. Whatever other ones have psychic powers in them.
Mhm.
Like all those characters. They're all just like, because he has like this company called the Shop. He has the Lot 6, which is a chemical compound they tested on them. And there's this whole place called the Institute. There's going to be a TV series about that. We'll probably have to watch that. Let's see here. About how much of Hollywood's inherent systematic issues with power and abuse creep their way inadvertently into films as unintended subtext.
A lot more than I'm
I think that
comfortable
that is
with.
that is a good fucking point, actually. By the way, Ambient Soup is someone I'm gonna have on. We're gonna do a spotlight episode with them. So
Excellent. I love soup.
yes, Ambient Soup's awesome. Good friend of mine.
But yeah, like
Very eloquent with
more
words.
than I ever when I was a kid, I watched a lot of stuff that I look at now, and I look at how like we find out how many actors in those movies had issues and how many directors had issues with that kind of stuff, and you're just like, this was way more prevalent. It was way more prevalent than anybody realized when we were kids. And now looking back on it, it's like sometimes very difficult to watch some of our favorite movies from our childhood.
Can't watch a fucking Woody Allen film ever again because there's like 90 movies I can't watch right there. I'm supposed to watch all the movies ever in existence after I achieve immortality somehow.
And some will say, well,
I'll save those till the very end.
Some will say that they're willing to give Woody Allen the benefit of the doubt, but that I would say, please watch the documentary on HBO, and if you can sit through that whole thing and still feel that way, then sure, whatever. But
I mean, if you
definitely can't.
Some people can separate art from the artist. I don't judge. I just don't.
I watched that documentary, and it was just there were several things that were
big
just
red flags,
a step above and beyond what was acceptable for me.
And there's like a million red flags. The whole documentary is red flag, red flag, red flag. I had not seen the documentary, but I read about it. I've also read extensively about the case against Woody Allen, the court of public opinion and stuff. And I decided a long time ago, I'm like, I don't think I want to watch his movies anymore. And if I did end up accidentally watching a movie, I don't want to talk about it in public. Not because I'm ashamed, but because he doesn't deserve the free press. Yeah. That's it. No one deserves to remember his fucking movies. I don't ever plan to watch a movie of his, but, you know.
What I was going to say was that, like, how much of Hollywood's inherent systemic issues with power and abuse creep their way inadvertently into films.
I said that. That's why we were on this conversation.
No. I know. I was trying to bring that specific thing back up, that quote back up, to address it further.
Sorry, apologies. Okay. My apologies.
And what I was going to say to that was that, like, it's reminding me of, like, the whole thing we learned about Indiana Jones somewhat recently.
What?
And how his character was originally written to have been involved
Marion Ravenwood, right?
Yeah.
She was like 16?
Yeah. When she was originally, they wrote it that she would have been like 12 when they were in a relationship originally. Like that. There's like fucking, they were in the fucking.
That's a bad choice.
Room. Yes. We're talking about Steven Spielberg. We're talking about George
Lucas.
George Lucas. I said George Orwell. Sorry.
George Orwell. That'd be a different fucking movie, I think.
But no, we're talking about both of them. Like they're in the room working on the script writing, and they're like, okay, well, they're talking about what they should do with the character, and they're genuinely talking about necessarily how creepy they want this fucking guy to be, like, and
what,
without realizing that they're talking about how creepy they want him to be. Like, they don't.
Yeah.
They genuinely don't realize that, like, there's something wrong with suggesting that Indiana Jones should be in a relationship with should have been in a relationship with somebody, with a girl when they were 12 years old.
Bro, I got hit in the head at 12. I don't even remember 12. Like, I don't think.
When you listen to the actual dialogue from the movie, from the original movie, between the two characters, and you factor that all in, it's like, it's really hard to watch now. It's really hard to see that and be like, oh.
And then there's the racism in number 2. I think maybe Last Crusade's the only good one for watching without feeling weird and squirmy. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something in that. There might be something in that
No,
too.
that's the one I'm talking about.
Last Crusade?
The original movie, yeah.
That's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, Raiders. Sorry,
Last Crusade's the third movie
Last Crusade.
with Sean
Yeah,
Connery.
no, you're right. I think that one is probably
Maybe there'll probably be something else that we're missing. Like,
Oh god,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like that was something that was happening at that time in 1982, and it's like, yeah, I would imagine that a lot of this stuff just creeped its way in, and it also reminds me of Jeepers Creepers, of course.
Let's
which
not talk about him
Yeah.
or his movies. Let's move on.
So, like, yeah, I do think that, like I was saying, I think that that kind of stuff creeps its way into film far more than I'm comfortable with. It's just
Yeah,
you don't even realize how prevalent it is
Soup
until you
says-
look deeper into it, and you're like, oh fuck.
or a classic example, the way The Shining is celebrated for Kubrick's abusive behavior. Like, I'm a fan of the film, but that supra production element stands out to me. Yes, I mean, like, exactly. Like, it's hard. Like, as much as you're supposed to take art without any input from the artist, because they put whatever they want into the art, you still have to understand that there's abusive shit happening in these productions. David O. Russell. Like, I watched, like, a couple years, like a decade ago, fucking leaked footage from the set of I Heart Huckabees where he's, like, berating and calling names and being
Emotionally
abusive to Lily what's Tomlin? What's her fucking first name? Is it Lily Tomlin? Thank you, Christ.
Yeah.
My brain couldn't remember the name. That's how it works. So yeah, I want to go back and watch Three Kings, but also knowing that David O. Russell is who he is, and he just got a new movie that came out. He had a new movie just came out from him. What just came out for him? I can't remember. And
That's the problem with, I think, the power structure in Hollywood is that it's like very unchecked, extremely unchecked. And
oh yeah, he's doing a movie called Amsterdam, which comes out this year, and then he's in a movie
how
called
long has
Past
it taken?
20 since what?
Sorry, I threw that out there. I was going to mention it afterwards. Say something afterwards.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, I mean, like, he's made movies ever since. Never, like, there was a time when he went from 2004 to 2010 where he didn't make a movie, and then he went back to movie making. Like, I mean, yeah, maybe he took fucking anger lessons. Maybe he's not that person anymore. But it's hard to watch those older movies knowing that that's how those productions probably were, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's... And I loved I Heart Huckabees. I thought that was such a great fucking movie. And to find out that, like, it has such a horrid production broke my heart, you know? That's probably one of my earlier moments of understanding of, like, sometimes your favorite pieces of art made by horrible people, you know?
Mm-hmm. I was
Shit.
just going to say that, like,
Sorry.
this
Yeah.
this stuff goes relatively unchecked and has gone relatively unchecked. And how long did it
80
take
years.
to? How long did it take to get any kind of fucking anything done about
They got one guy.
Weinstein?
And then,
About Weinstein? Yeah, they got Weinstein, and that's just one guy, and there are several other examples of people exactly like that.
yeah,
or
I don't want to
even
name
worse.
names for fear
And
of
it's just
potential
like-
litigation. So, just...
Yeah, and it's just like, well,
Brian Singer. I'm sorry, what? I didn't say anything.
you said you weren't going to name names.
I didn't. There was something caught in my throat. I didn't say anything. I'm good. Everything's fine. It was just it was a lump in my throat. It's all good.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, we've
Damn,
been.
ice freak out.
That was a very
Okay.
long diatribe about Firestarter. To just say that I thought Firestarter was
Yeah.
a 7 out of 10 movie. I really liked it.
Yeah, the original was like a
Yeah.
7 out of 10. It's a good movie.
Now
It's
let's
not
talk about the remake.
great, but it's okay. The remake,
The most
I was-
unsubtle movie I've seen in a long fucking time.
look, I was really, really hopeful that all the hate for the remake was just like, sour grapes for people who just, like, had rose-colored glasses on, nostalgia glasses on for the original or whatever.
Right.
But no, that they were right. It's not good. It's not good.
It's not terrible, but it's not good. Uh,
So many issues, I think.
there's
Now,
subtext about like coming out and being queer, but like they, instead of saying queer, they talk about powers or whatever, right? And so there's like there's a few lines earlier on in the movie that are reminiscent of someone coming in talking about someone who may have a gay son and they're not accepting necessarily, right? That's what it sounds like. And then the girl who has special powers, who's the special one because she has her own powers plus her mom's and her dad's, and I guess no one else has that, so she's like special. She's got a little rainbow on her overalls. Just
it's
so
like what a
just
cis screenwriter would think of when they're trying to
make
have like a strong, powerful pro LGBTQI
or be
plus message,
subtextually want
you
to
know?
talk about the experience, like, and I don't want to say anything about the writer or the director because I don't know. Maybe they are both gay. I don't. That my point is, it feels like someone
Didn't come across very
didn't
good,
know what the
yeah.
fuck they were talking about, and I felt like I was being bludgeoned in the head with the subtext. Because no longer subtext, because then everything and the rest of the movie kind of shaded by that. There's not a single bit of subtext in this movie, I don't think. Unless someone has caught something I didn't. I mean, I'm willing to
Yeah.
accept that.
I do want to say, like, my biggest issue, and maybe it's silly to have this big of an issue with it, but like, I literally just like held up my cat a little early. Like, in this movie, needlessly so, and I think
Oh.
maybe there's a possibility it came from the book, but I highly doubt it.
I think it does actually come from the book.
Either way, like, you don't need to show the death of the cat in your movie in
So
a
brutally.
really brutal fucking way.
Yeah,
And
very
then
excruciating.
Use
manner.
that later on to fucking see. This is why we killed the cat. Like,
There's probably a
you
better
didn't
way to
have
do
to.
that.
That was
Probably
yeah.
a way better way to do that. I appreciate Show Don't Tell a lot because a lot of movies don't do that. But this is the wrong show. You shouldn't have told.
Yeah.
Stop killing animals for fucking sakes in movies. It's kind of old hat at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this is definitely more influenced by the X-Men movies than Firestarter would be from the X-Men comics. So I feel like this is definitely in a world where the X-Men didn't happen in the late '90s and they didn't have the whole series franchise. I don't think this movie looks the same without those movies. I think it's
This
steeped
movie
in
would
the
not have been
superhero.
made the way it was without the popularity of superhero movies.
And it's a dark
For sure.
superhero movie. We've had a
Yeah.
few of those. Like I said, it's got its own genre, which is great. Not a complaint. I love superhero movies, actually.
That was the one thing I really liked about the movie. I say that after having said what I just said, but like,
And
was that it was a little bit darker than the original Firestarter movie.
they didn't red face somebody this time either.
Yeah, that too.
That's the other
Like,
thing.
oh, that's nice.
Hey, they actually cast an appropriate actor. Great. I love when they do that.
Mhm.
I feel like this lives in the shadow of Doctor Sleep. Like, it's playing with, I don't know if it's intending to, but it's playing with the same, like, supernatural power type vibe as that movie is doing, but, like, I don't think it's as successful as Doctor Sleep.
It genuinely feels like they're trying to set up the cinematic universe of Stephen King.
Which they should
At
just
some
do.
point, they're going to bring everything together, but it didn't
Look,
work too well with this movie.
Hearts
is
and
what I would
Atlantis was
say.
the other one I was thinking of. Look, if they do like a couple more of these movies, right, and they reveal like at the end credit sequence, one of them, all those characters together, I will say it's worth having a mediocre superhero movie. That's a horror film. Okay, so like, if that is the start of a franchise that they want to do, like a connected universe, I wouldn't complain so much because, like, even the Marvel movies have like one or two not great ones, right? So it's like, should it come this early? No, it's probably going to hinder their idea for a while.
There are a lot of issues with this movie. I think one of the big issues is the writing. There's at least one or two moments with the writing in the movie where if you're paying attention, it just throws you for a loop. You're like,
Well, yeah.
what the fuck was that line? Like, it has no correlation to anything actually happening in the movie. Why did they just say that? Why did that character just say that? That made no sense. Why did they fucking say that? What the fuck was that about? And it never makes any goddamn sense.
Nope.
It's like,
Never explained.
what? What?
I like. There's things I liked about this one more than I like the original, and there's things I like the original more than I like this one than this one. And I think they're both very flawed movies. I think this is more flawed than the original film. I gave this a 5 out of 10. The first one, the original, got 7 out of 10.
I give it a 4 out of 10 for the death of the cat.
Damn, that's why I went from 6 to 5 for me, to be fair.
It's just...
And you gave it whole 2-star doc because it was so brutal. I remember you saying that.
It was, I was not a fan of...
I was not a fan
of
either.
that or a lot of the other things that happened in the movie. Like, it was a different approach to the story from the original in a way that, like, I liked the darkness, that it was a little bit darker than the first one.
Yeah.
But
less of a road movie.
It didn't seem to work as well.
I think it worked better as a Manhunt movie than the first movie did. First movie felt like a road movie, and the second movie, like the first movie, felt like a fucking rejected script for fucking Hulk. Instead of Hulk, they put a girl who can set things on fire. Do 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 do, because they like fucking hitchhike at the very beginning of the movie and shit, and then they're hitchhiking around, and I don't know, it just that's a really reductive way to go about it. I like the original, but like the remake is missing a lot of subtext, and it's gonna bludgeon you over the head with its queer. It just like queer people, just like trans people, just like queer people. Subtext, which is not subtext, it's screaming in your ear when it does so. Yeah, that's it. Yep. What's next? Jackass 4.5?
Is it? I don't know.
No, 4.5, the movie.
Okay.
Number 4.5.
And a half.
Yeah. Forever .5.
Yes.
That's what's next. So. You can pass also. It's up to you.
How much... I'm trying to figure out if I liked it better than Forever. Like, if I liked the pranks better. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I just think, like...
I gave them both 8 out of 10. I don't know. I couldn't decide.
It's a nice addition to it, and I like that they go a little bit more in depth with some of the
changed the formula.
The behind the scenes, like, commentary and stuff like that.
Yeah, unlike any of the other Jackass movies, they just actually had interviews with people, which I think is really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I want that to be the new format. I think that'd be really neat, putting some more interviews in. Yeah. Like, that they do...
For the .5 movies, specifically.
Specifically for the .5 movies, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because then you can show the best moments from the movie and have commentary with them, which would be great. Yeah. And still have all the outtakes and stuff, you know?
I like that about it. It actually, like, allows the movie to breathe in a way that, like, the other ones, it's just, you know, an onslaught. And there's something to be said for the onslaught, right?
Yep,
so it's not like I'm saying don't have the movies with the onslaught. I'm just saying it's also nice to have movies that offer a little bit of a breather, and I feel like that's what this one...
My favorite thing about Jackass is it revels in its male nudity. It just shows you cocks after cocks after hacks. If you're, like, homophobic, these movies aren't for you. It's just so many penises just everywhere. Just penis.
Yep.
There's a giant penis monster. And they show the behind the scenes of that, which is really cool, actually. It looked really uncomfortable for Chris Pontius. It's just laying underneath this fucking... It's like laying underneath the fucking ground for the scene. His dick's like through the hole, and it just looked really uncomfortable. He has to arc his back a little to get his dick up into the hole.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like...
That's what she said.
Hey! But no, I mean... Yeah, there's just like little things about this movie I really liked. They talk about how they wanted to... like, overtly talk about how they wanted to bring new cast in so that they can extend the life of this movie because they can be more than just those 7 people. And I agree. I think if you slowly bring in people like that and they slowly retire people from the movies, maybe they come back for like a segment where they get to play a trick on someone instead of getting hurt or whatever. Down with all that shit. Like they apparently announced there's a new TV series. It's like, yes, thank you, perfect, excellent. Now release the previous one.
And I love the new cast. They're great. Like, I have no issues whatsoever.
Yeah, I like all those guys. Like, Dark Shark's hilarious. He's such a giant coward. Oh my god, he's the best. Dark Shark is the best because he's just like, I no, he's like freaking out, and he's just like, oh, it's great.
Where every other
surprisingly body positive for the time, even though they used it heavily for humor. Yeah, but the humor was not just, oh, he's fat. It's the fact that he's this larger person bowling over him to small people, and like, yeah, there is some subtle negative connotation to that. The humor is just simply the juxtaposition of bodies, right? That's what's funny about it. I don't know. Anyway.
They managed to take a franchise from that people are nostalgic for from like the 90s and whatnot, and modernize it in a way that not only makes sense, but really fucking works. So like so many other fucking properties and franchises have failed to do just that, and Jackass is just like, here's how you do it. And
like, and I wouldn't even mind like if they did a nods to like some of the other things that came in the wake of Jackass, like the Dudesons or Nitro Circus, or like some segments in the future, like not like a whole movie, but like a segment with the people who like set up Nitro Circus or did it in the past, or I don't know. That'd be cool because that should exist because Jackass exists, you know. There was this all-female group that was doing pranks too. I can't remember who they were called. Very blank on that. I wish I could remember. But like, yeah, I think that'd be really cool to like bring in some like the connected universe of joke stuntery or whatever, stunt jokery, whatever it is. Whatever this genre of comedy is. What is Jackass's comedy genre? Like, I don't fucking know. It's absurdity. I don't know. It's I called it. What did I call it? Oh, I actually had a name. I actually labeled it. 1 second.
Americans doing stupid shit. That's what I.
No.
What? That's
I
said.
Jackass,
that's what I would call it.
Jackass is surrealism that is a perfect encapsulation of the experience of existing in this world. And it's like the Garden of Earthly Delights in motion. Those are the other one I said.
I just think it's Americans doing stupid shit.
It's great. It's the most American thing we've ever come out of America.
Yes.
Like, honestly.
One of the most positive things.
Where's my Kenny versus Spenny movie?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, my God.
But, like, now you have to do
so long since I watched
the thing. It's uncomfortable to watch now. So a lot of that stuff. But yeah. I think it'd be really cool to do, like, a biopic of that. Like, the behind-the-scenes nightmare that movie was. That show was. I think that's, like, grounds for some interesting filmmaking. Jackass took the mainstream... Ambient Soup says, Jackass took the mainstream humor of weird bodies and made it more about bodies existing in a space... In a space is weird. And less about the reliance on the qualities of bodies wholesale. Usually. Yes. Yeah. I have a lot to say about Jackass because there's nothing out there like it. There's nothing out there like it. I say that the Dudesons were similar but different. They had a whole other vibe going on. And, you know, there's a couple of those kind of groups from other countries that had their own deal. Right? But, like, yeah. Me and Soup are going to have talk about Jackass later at some point. Actually, when Soup comes on to do a spotlight episode or something, we should have a sidebar about Jackass so they can talk about that. Fuck. Segue. Brain. Did I add this? Did I add this to this list? I did. Okay. Next is the hotbed film of the fucking month, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. I am in a Discord full of people who I thought were cinema fans. They're cinema fans to a point. They only got 5 minutes into the movie and they gave up, and they think it's trash. And I'm like, I don't listen to any of their opinions about that. Like, if you didn't finish the fucking movie, here's the number one rule.
Watch the movie.
Here is the number one rule: if you did not finish the movie, you have no fucking opinion. That's it. There's nothing to say about it. Because the thing that might be that offending you at the beginning might be talked about at the end. And it might be explained in some way. It might be supposed to be offensive. Like, you don't, like, just finish the fucking movie. You know, like, I'm almost 40. I finish every goddamn movie. The very few I've never finished, I never log, I will never tell you about them. I just say I didn't finish it, can't say. That's all I had to say. That's it. Didn't finish it, can't say. There's only been a few movies I've ever bailed out of. I've never walked out of a theater. Never once. Unless there's a problem with the projection. You know, never about the movie itself.
I mean, the thing is, like, I guess I can kind of understand why, not why, but like,
I understand people may not like the movie. That's
if
fine.
people are like, they're not enjoying something, and so they feel like they don't want to waste their time or whatever.
Right.
Like,
but
I can understand
you
that.
can't
but
have
at
an
the same
opinion
time,
about it
like,
because you didn't finish the fucking movie.
Yeah. At the same time, someone like me, I literally had a job at one point where I had to watch some of the worst fucking movies that have ever been fucking made and write about them.
Like, I'll tell
And
you right
so
now,
it's like,
I watched Chip in Jail. It's not the worst thing ever made. It's pretty good, actually. I liked it quite a lot. But guess what? If you think that's the worst movie ever made, or if Jurassic World Domination is the worst thing you've ever seen, you should see a real bad movie. Please. I'm begging you. I'm begging you to watch any actual bad movie.
when you're reviewing movies and you're doing it, like, you know, for a living, you want, like, I don't know, personally, I felt like I had a duty and a responsibility to the fucking filmmaker, even if they put almost no effort into it, to
Wow.
fucking do at least the justice of fucking actually watching the whole damn thing before coming to a conclusion or opinion about it.
See, like,
And I
that's
don't think
actually...
that's too much to ask. I don't think it's too much to ask.
Like, here's the thing for me. If I am watching a movie and they're trying to go in, haha, it's so bad, wink, 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 like Sharknado, I'll just turn it off. It's a waste of my time. I won't review it. I saw Sharknado all the way through. I can tell you it's a piece of shit. I've never seen the sequels because why would I bother? Why would I bother? To me, they're insulting. So if I watch a movie and it's like, haha, see, we're a bad movie, like Samurai Cop 2. Haha, we're a bad movie. I will not bother watching that movie, ever. There's no reason to. There's no reason to. It'll never capture the magic of accidentally making a bad movie. It won't. It can be entertaining in its own right, but it doesn't. I had no interest.
There's something to be said for, like, movies that are trying to be bad movies, and the what happens when they essentially tell the kind of jokes within the bad movie that you would have been talking about and telling jokes with your friends. You know what I mean? They take the enjoyment of having the experience of watching the movie with your friend and talking trash about the movie with your friends. You know, they take that away from you entirely and just put it into the movie. And it's just like, well, then I'm just sitting here staring at the fucking movie, watching you have all the fun for me.
Yeah, and I'm groaning because it's bad.
Yeah.
And not funny because there's no authenticity to it.
I don't want you to put the fun I'm supposed to, you know, create myself by, you know, watching it with a friend and talking about how bad it is and all that shit and joking about it.
That's kind of stuff that's like, if you didn't at least try to make a good movie and you purposely made a bad movie, you wasted the audience time, in my opinion. That being said, I can understand someone not liking Rescue Rangers. It was definitely not going to be everyone's cup of tea, right?
I grew up with Rescue Rangers.
Me too.
It was my favorite, and I do mean this, favorite Disney afternoon cartoon.
See,
I watched it more than any other Disney afternoon cartoon.
No,
I fucking loved that show, and I did not have a problem with this in the least.
I like the idea that just like the original animated cartoons where they're beating each other up and yelling at each other is more indicative of their personal life than the show Rescue Rangers that they star in the universe of the movie. Because you can tell they've grown up at that point, so they can at least act proper during a movie, like filming and stuff. But the fact that they have a falling out, this just the beginning of the movie, like, is pretty, like, clear. If you were to look at, if that were, like, if the Marx Brothers or fucking Three Stooges tried to happen today, like, it would be talking about toxic relationships, and that's all. We should talk about those things. But I'm saying, like, those kind of people would, like, not be successful like they are now. So, like, I can understand, like, them as actors having agents and people behind them to market them, tell them to clean their shit up in the public eye, and then Dale was a Chip, Dale, whoever goes, Double O Dale, yeah. And when the Double O Dale presents itself, he jumps on that, probably because of his agent's behest, telling him it could be a big breakthrough, not realizing that his agent's actually profiting from him getting the role, whether the role is successful or not, whether it's getting a good script or not. They get a little kickback.
Yeah.
You know, like, I feel like that if you were to take the world of the original cartoons as if it were like the real world, like their originally made shorts and then their show Rescue Rangers, like you see people growing apart each other literally right before your eyes. Because they're not the same embittered, battled people in the Rescue Rangers. They bickered, but it wasn't the same. And then so it's in the meta universe, it makes sense that they would have a split. Like, it just makes sense. They grew apart. As the characters, they look like their trajectories literally look like this when you draw them out. You know, it's kind of interesting.
Was this a problem that people had with the movie?
No.
I don't know.
I don't know. People thought it was terrible, and I don't understand. They're like,
I don't understand why they didn't like it either. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Like someone's
somebody
like,
tell me, why didn't
all
you
the
like this
jokes in
movie?
Rescue Rangers is like meta and not funny, like in the same way that Roger Rabbit is. And like, it's not trying to be Roger Rabbit. People keep trying to compare it to Roger Rabbit. The only thing similar to Roger Rabbit is that the cartoons exist in a real world environment. It probably takes place in the same universe, but like, trying to compare, I think it's really unfair to compare it to Roger Rabbit, because outside of the very surface level of haha, we have a mix of different characters, right? Outside of that, they're very different movies, and it's very unfair to compare Rescue Rangers to Roger Rabbit.
But they are, but I don't take issue with anybody making that comparison. I think
it's unfair because there's no way you can compare up. It's not the same kind of movie. One's a meta movie, and the other one is a murder mystery set in a world where tunes exist in real life. Like, it's a little fucking different.
What I'm saying though is, I don't take issue with it. Like, that's what I'm saying. Is like, if you want to make the comparison, fine. But if you make that comparison, I'm just gonna say, yeah. Well,
I think it's unfair.
I don't have the problem with it though.
That's all I'm saying. I think it's unfair. That's it.
There's nothing. There would be nothing wrong with them trying to do Roger Rabbit. And here's the thing. They literally reference Roger Rabbit in the movie. This movie is full of nonstop movie references and cultural references. And that's why I referred to it at the time we watched it as a love letter to millennials.
Yeah.
Which it absolutely is, because obviously it's based on a property that millennials grew up with, one. Two, the thing is... the difference between millennials and Zoomers, this is not across the board, Mike, because it's like these are generational concepts, and not everybody is going to fit into the exact fucking archetype of what people describe when they're describing generations, right? So it's not fair to say this is descriptive of everybody in these two generations, but by and large, Zoomers tend to find things funny that are far different than what millennials found funny and find funny. Millennials tend to, and this is something that was true even when I was a kid, we would reference fucking movies. We'd quote movies all the fucking time, and we still fucking do. This is something I see from almost all my millennial friends, from almost everyone in this generation. We reference movies, we quote television shows, we quote and reference fucking all types of culture, right? And
we quote memes. I mean,
yes, and for Zoomers, it's slightly different. It's not the same exact kind
And
of humor,
YouTube
right?
poops and all sorts of other shit.
They do at the fact whenever a how do I put this?
I don't know.
Whenever Zoomer humor comes into
Zoomer
play,
humor.
whenever that's what it's called. Whenever Zoomers do memes, sometimes they'll insert some kind of a pop culture reference, like there's the whole Big Chungus thing, right? With
I don't get that one
the
actually.
big fucking Bugs Bunny, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll reference Shrek sometimes, right? In their memes. But the fact that this is a cultural icon is secondary to the actual thing that quote unquote makes the meme funny for that generation.
Yeah.
It's different from millennials where like what makes something funny or what makes something like worth quoting and worth referencing
I think that goes with every generation. That
is its cultural reference.
like,
The fact that it's nostalgic, the fact that it's a cultural reference is integral to it, whereas it's not necessarily integral for Zoomers. So, like, I think this is very much something that it has a lot more millennial humor to it than it has any other kind of humor. But there are elements of Zoomer humor in it too. Yes.
Zoomer humor's iconic awkwardness, Dadaism.
Yes.
I don't.
Yes.
I need you to send me some Zoomer humor. I need to understand.
There's actually a fucking video that I watched recently that kind of breaks down the differences between Zoomer memes and millennial memes. And again, like I said, this isn't a across the board thing, but you know, it does help to understand some of the differences that you do see in the between the two
What year were
quote unquote
Zoomers?
generations.
What year are Zoomers born in?
96 and forward, or actually
Son of a
97 and
bitch.
forward. Yeah.
Well, I gotta
About
go
97 to like 2010 or something.
I gotta
like
go
that.
double check something. Holy fuck!
But this movie is full of nostalgia, full of references to things from the
25.
90s,
Shit.
and there are a few even modern references like the ugly Sonic thing.
The ugly
which
Sonic thing was great. Oh my god.
I fucking loved. I fucking loved that part.
22 subtract 26.
But like, if you're paying attention, there are all these
fuck.
nostalgic references to a bunch of other fucking bunch of other movies and television shows and whatnot from the 90s and from things that like millennials would remember.
My comment is a Zoomer. That's where I'm
Oh.
like, fuck.
Not that big a deal.
No, it's just they're 26, so it's like, oh shit. I guess that's
Well,
I'm crossing
that's the thing, though.
generational lines.
For whatever differences there are, the differences aren't as
They're not
pronounced between Zoomers and millennials as they are between like fucking
Gen X and
millennials
millennials.
yeah,
God.
even Gen X and millennials. Yeah. So yeah. And the thing about having millennials is that we grew up with nostalgia. We grew up being fed a love of nostalgia. What do you think Back to the Future is? Back to the Future is like a love letter to nostalgia.
A bunch of
right?
references in that to older movies and everything.
And how many fucking movies were there in the 80s and 90s that were love letters to nostalgia? Forrest Gump, even in the mid 90s, was extremely nostalgic.
The 80s was obsessed with the 50s, honestly.
Yeah, for things that we knew nothing about. And honestly, we kind of learned about some history through nostalgic movies like that. It's just like...
So anyway, I gave Chip and Dale 8 out of 10. Like, suck it, haters.
It is an 8 out of 10 all day.
So,
it's
Ambient
so
Soup
good.
says a lot of people don't like old franchises being repurposed and sucked into a meta commentary about nostalgia itself. I'm like, well, sometimes art's uncomfortable. That's all I have to say.
People don't like... But I don't know why people wouldn't like that in this case, though. Because, like...
I had no idea what Hey Arnold... I never watched Hey Arnold. That was after my time.
Because Rescue Rangers came out during the
I'm a
millennials.
first gen. I'm a first gen millennial.
It came
So
out during the millennial era. So the people who fucking loved Rescue Rangers more than anyone else at the time, usually, typically, were millennials, right? And millennials are people who were fed a steady diet of nostalgia. So to say that you can't have this movie with nostalgia that's so heavily focused on nostalgia in it that is based on something that millennials who grew up on nostalgia liked, that it just doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. Even the fucking characters in Rescue Ranger reference nostalgic
Rescue
characters.
Ranger,
They,
Rescue Rangers.
did I say
You said
Rescue
singular, which is
Ranger?
hilarious because I'm just
Okay.
imagining like a single Rescue Ranger. It's like a Earthbound version of a
But I'm just
Space
saying, like,
Ranger. Sorry.
I'm just saying, even that criticism, I'm just like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. I
Yeah, I know
loved it.
you.
This
You
movie was
weren't.
great.
I know you weren't saying that's what you thought of the movie, Ambient. I know that you were saying that's what a lot of people were saying.
Yeah, yeah.
I I that's why I say a lot of people I say like there was this person's diagram. Jeebus bless them for illustrating things. They're like, here's Chip and Dale. Here's all the negative things about Chip and Dale. Here's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Here's the positive thing. I'm like, but you're missing the point. This isn't that movie.
Yeah.
Like this isn't trying to be that movie. This is trying to be its own thing. It's influenced by this movie.
Hmm.
The character from this movie is in this movie, thus potentially tying the universe together as a shared universe. But it's not about the same fucking things. Once again, there was fucking nostalgia of the 40s and 50s and the 80s and 90s, and guess what fucking Roger Rabbit drenched in? That fucking era.
It's literally a film noir. Like,
A
it's a
neo-noir.
fucking neo noir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's made outside those decades, but yeah. That
Yeah.
decade. That era,
And
whatever it
it's
was.
funny that because, like, it's referencing all these noir films, right? And it's also just by having like all those cartoons in it, it's also referencing things like Anchors Away with like the whole Tom and Jerry sequence,
Right.
right? Like,
Yeah.
because they had movies with live action characters who were dancing alongside cartoons at that
Wasn't that
time
like
period.
fucking
Like,
Danny fucking K or some shit? Wasn't that what?
yeah, I think it was, yeah. So like
I can't not say fucking in the middle of the movie because once
tap
again,
dancing with Danny fucking
as we're
K,
talking
yeah.
about how we constantly quote
Nostalgia.
movies and nostalgia, I do the very thing. If I'm anything,
It's
I'm obvious.
inextricable, I think. Uh
Inextricable. Ooh,
for
good
for
word
a lot
usage.
of millennials,
I
it's
gotta let the cat out
inextricable.
and go pee, so
All
I'll
right.
be right back. I'm coming, cat.
Just the whole idea that nostalgia is an important thing and that references to uh to past movies and quotes from past movies are an important part of culture for millennials and how we reflect culture and how we take in culture. Um, that's shown in the new Rescue Rangers movie in a way that it's just great to me. I don't see the problem with it. I think it's fantastic. 8 out of 10. Now I have the Chippendale Rescue Rangers song stuck in my head. It's not a bad thing. Welcome back.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay,
You
why
could have
can't
just
I hear
left the
you
thing
just
on. I don't know. They
Hello?
can hear me.
Hello?
I can hear myself on there, so I know they can hear me.
Okay, it's on my end. I'm looking over my thing. I can see you are. I can't hear you. What the fuck?
What did you do?
It's definitely coming through the thing. So now I'm just like,
You broke it. You broke
I
it.
wonder where the problem is.
Soiled it.
Um,
Soiled it. See, there's another reference for
like,
you.
is it my
Soiled it.
headphones? I hope not.
Soiled it.
These are expensive. Anyway,
Test
I
if
need you
can
to hold
hear
on,
it.
hold your thought. I have to unplug the audio device.
Itchy ear. Itchy.
Oh shit.
Hello?
Oh hey, you're back.
Yay! That's good.
Hello.
What a sec.
Okay,
Hello?
you're still here. Everyone can still hear us. I know you see when I knew you could hear him because
Hold on.
I saw the the waveform. So I'm like, oh, okay, they can hear you. I can't hear you. I've actually never had it do that before in the middle of streaming.
Yeah,
I'm
that was
still
weird.
streaming,
You should
so
have just left it
la la la
not
la.
gone to the
Now
be right back screen because I was still here, so I could
I
have just
forgot to
talked.
put it was muscle memory. I do it all the
Yeah.
time. I do it like 10 times a stream because I have to pee a lot because I have a tiny little bladder and to take meds that make you pee a lot. So like, sorry, I apologize for putting the VRE screen up. I actually shouldn't have done
That's
that.
okay. That's okay.
But yeah, I'm surprised it fucking killed the. I don't know why the audio decided to die out for me. Just mine on my end. Am I blown out at all? On the stream, ambient. Are we like crackling or peaking?
No, I do. I think that for whatever happened, I do sound a little quieter than I did before. But
You sound quieter. You're still. It shows me peaking on my fucking side, so I'm asking. Nope, we're good. Is Stout much quieter than me? He might be a little quieter than me. I can't. There's not the most accurate sliders, you know. Well, like I will take input
I
from the
can't really tell much about these.
Ambient is a sound person, so if
All right.
ambient says you are too quiet, I will turn you up. Like that's how it works. I make music.
So yes, I
So.
did finish my thoughts more or less on Rescue Rangers. I don't know why people don't like it. It's great. 8 out of 10.
Is he quiet? And yeah, I mean, I get why some people didn't like it, but I think it's also unfair to compare it to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is just a style similarity.
And my main issue with the idea that like, and again, I don't think it's like ambient soup saying this because
Mm-mm.
they're just reflecting what other people are saying. But
Mm-hmm.
um,
They're just reporting. Don't kill a messenger.
my main issue with the whole idea that like people don't like it because
We're both
it's
good.
they
Excellent.
see it as a trend of meta commentary
Glad
or
to hear
that
it.
they see it as a trend of like wokeness or whatever like that or that it's similar to that in some way is that a lot of the people who say that kind of thing just so happen to like it's like you said, Soup, it's like uh they don't like it because it's not the way that it was, right? It's just like if they tried to make a fucking Rescue Rangers movie
Here's
that was exactly like the fucking show,
I
it
would have
wouldn't have worked.
worked.
And you know how I don't, well, we might have liked it, but the fucking rest of the fucking world wouldn't have liked it. And
Yeah.
I can tell you that because Out of the Shadows, TMNT Out of the Shadows, was literally the TMNT cartoon from the 80s
Yeah.
brought to life,
Almost
and
literally.
everyone
Pretty
hated
close.
it. And everyone fucking hated it. It's like, but that's the most literal interpretation of the cartoon that we've ever seen on screen.
Other than making a
I
cartoon
promise
movie,
you.
which they should just do at this point. I
Yeah.
don't know why they just haven't done that. Just make a cartoon
It's,
movie. Duh.
you
Like,
think you want these things, but if you ever actually got them, you wouldn't want them. You wouldn't like them. And I know that because you have gotten these things and you didn't like them.
you being the populace, not you
Yeah,
specifically,
exactly.
to be clear.
Exactly.
Or
I'm
any of the
saying
viewer
this
necessarily. We're talking about in general what we
exactly.
hear from the
Speaking
masses.
in generalities.
Yeah,
About generations especially. So, yeah.
yeah. Old man crones about younger generation. Nothing new here. That's you, by the way, croning about the old generation.
I don't even
New
think
generation.
it's the
I
new generation. I
as
think
a
it's a lot of the old
movie,
generation who
as a
just
standalone
like
movie, I thought it was good. I think
are
some
broken.
people were misled by the trailer to make them think it was gonna be like meta, but still a Rescue Rangers movie. Like it could have been both. There's no reason it couldn't have been both, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's the problem with people just like they took the trailer at face value and not as like this much of the footage that you'll see. And I think or they didn't take it at face value. They could it like they gave them expectations, and I'm like, this is why I stress to people like you should learn to throw your expectations away when you go into a movie, no matter what you saw in the trailer, no matter what you heard, because movies can surprise you. Because it doesn't work for your friend Todd, might work for you if you just don't take in any of the negativity and just see a movie on neutral terms. Like I'm guilty of having seen movies with a negative bent. Like before I went in, I'm sure I've reviewed a movie or two here that I probably ingested some negative shit before I saw the movie. It's inevitable. It happens. So it's not like beat yourself up over it. It's just pick yourself back up and try to not do that. That's, you know.
Yeah.
I really loved that movie. Speaking of movies I really loved, Candyman. Holy fuck. Candyman
my
was
God.
so fucking good.
I'm
Talking
gonna say that
the
was the best
2021.
movie we watched in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's another movie that if
Ah.
you see it for a good deal, you grab it because I need it.
There
also.
was so much fucking beautiful subtext and like
This
beautiful
movie
like,
was rich
imagery.
with commentary about how everything that was commentary in the first movie, which is also rich with commentary, is still relevant to this day and age.
It's quote unquote elevated horror.
I will fucking reach for this computer and strangle you. I will fucking strangle you. Jesus.
It's it's way better than I even expected it to be, honestly, because like
way better, fucking better.
The sequels to Candyman, we've seen at least one of them, and
I've seen them all, but I've seen both of them
together. I mean, but
yeah,
you know, it wasn't very good. It was okay, but it wasn't great.
Traditional horror stance and had nothing to do with the subtext of the first movie.
Yeah,
I took it just like Candyman, villain kills through mirrors, which, I mean, that's an easy. I mean, I get it. Like, if you didn't read the film, maybe when you watched it, you think that's what people like about this movie, and they do. But like, I think they missed the fact that it's actually a powerful movie about systematic racism. I mean, like,
I feel like this movie does what the 2018 Halloween was trying to do. Like they're trying to kind of copy that success in a way, but they do it even better. They do it way fucking better than even Halloween 2018 did. Like really fucking good.
way better than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre did.
Oh, for sure. Like,
And I liked that movie, but Jesus,
way.
it totally missed the mark in a lot of ways. So I went in expecting to love it, and I went in and I came out thinking it was all right, not bad. I think I gave it 6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a movie where, like, there's only a few things you can think about to say about it. You might be able to write like a fucking 5-page paper on it. Meanwhile, I came out of Candyman, the new Candyman, thinking to myself, I think I could write a fucking whole ass book on this thing. It's really fucking good. There's a lot to fucking talk about.
It's a very meaty subtext to this fucking movie. And now this movie has a little bit less subtlety with delivering the subtext than the original movie, but it's just the way it is sometimes. Like, not every filmmaker is the same, and not everyone it's not as subtle. But I think the point is it's still happening, so there's no point in being subtle anymore. I think is also part of it. I think it's intentionally less subtle, very specifically. So
yeah,
it's because people miss the point. People often miss the point of that first movie. It's like people are like, when did horror become so like a commentary about life? I'm like, since forever, since the very beginning of horror, since the very first horror film, the very first one was a commentary about the darker natures of man.
You see,
I mean, like, come on.
Mary Shelley wrote this book in 1818 called
about being queer. About being queer, and there you go.
It's just,
and Dracula's about being bisexual. Like, whatever, dude. Like, I get it. Like, there's a movie we gotta see that movie. It's Gods and Monsters, where it's about the party where both those books were conceived, or whatever, and they're just having like a debaucherous weekend. No, we watched the one where it was the old guy taking care of the.
Yeah, but isn't that the same name though? Gods and Monsters.
Oh, maybe it's a different movie I'm thinking of. There was a movie with Bram Stoker, Mary Shelley, and a bunch of other famous writers, and it's that weekend in which Frankenstein and Dracula were born, and a few other ideas that took longer to germinate or whatever. But
and it is interesting that like
can't remember what it's called.
F.W. Murnau went on to do Nosferatu, and he's a gay man.
Yeah,
then,
I mean, they talked about that on the last Drive-In episode. I was actually very happy about that.
And
this is last Friday, in fact. We were talking about Nosferatu.
James Whale did Frankenstein. He was gay.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
horror's been gay from the very beginning. Just in case you're curious.
It's interesting how that just so happens to have happened the way it did, given the roots of it all.
My favorite thing is that horror has been gay from the very first frame. From the very first story. From the very first stories, the very first frame, it was about queerness to some degree.
When did the social message begin? They're just trying. Oh my god!
It's like that Star Trek. Like, when did it become woke?
Yeah.
1966, you asshole! What the fuck? Like, since the fucking the Utopian Common Society, right? That's the show you're talking about. The one there's no more racism, no more sexism, no more hatred and bigotry. That movie, the Utopian Communist movie, the show. Yeah, it's been woke the whole fucking time, dipshit. Like, and once again I stress, if you use woke as an insult, understand that you're admitting that you sleep through your whole life.
Yeah.
You're just a drone.
True.
You're woke. Well, you're a drone. I don't know what you want to say about that.
The same people who say that kind of stuff really hate the idea of subtext. They fucking
they do.
Loathe it. Like,
it's just a movie about people punching.
They just get really upset. Like,
it's just a movie about an underground fight ring. It's not about self-harm and schizophrenia and a very bad depiction of It's not any of that, but also there's something to be said that Marla Singer isn't real in that movie either, and it's also kind of there's some trans subtext to be said about that because there's been a Marla Singer in him too.
Which one?
Fight Club. I'm talking about Fight.
Oh.
Sorry, was it too fucking subtle? My apologies. Anyway,
I didn't. I was confused about which movie you were talking about. Okay, we're supposed to be talking about Candyman.
I got distracted because I have ADHD. Fuck off. uh, I was not joking. I actually do have ADHD for the new people in the chat. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Anyway.
there was also elements of like body horror in this movie.
Oh, and the new
That felt,
Candyman. Oh, where he's like turning like he's got the honeycomb deal going
yeah,
on the
it
skin.
felt
Like
almost like
if
a Cronenberg kind of
if you
thing.
have that thing where you can't see all the little dots, like that kind of, what I can't remember what it's
Oh
called.
yeah,
This movie will trigger that. Just the FYI, because there's like,
trypophobia or something.
yeah, there's like some honeycomb effect going on with the face, and it looks like those internet images. Likely that was one of the
Yeah.
inspirations. To be fair, and yeah, yeah, I thought Candyman. I thought the new Candyman was
I want to
incredible.
watch this movie over and over and over again.
Yeah,
That's
like
the
I
way I
said,
feel about it. Like,
we're gonna probably revisit this. I think
it's so good.
when we watch it again later this year, when we finally get it on Blu-ray, because I'm sure it'll go on sale eventually.
Oh, the 4K did go on sale just this week for $12.99.
Yeah, and did you get it?
Yes.
Fuck you.
It hasn't arrived yet, but yes, I did
Okay,
purchase.
well, fuck. All right, when the Blu-ray goes on sale, you grab that for me, because I never pay attention to this shit. If I do,
Okay.
I'll end up buying. I'm trying to save up for clothes because I need clothes. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the new. Sorry, I got lost in the train of thought. The new Candyman was like. I just. The way they present the idea that the Candyman myth is cyclical in nature, like the violence perpetrated on people of color, black people especially, disproportionately, like that's cyclical. It's been happening for generations and it never went away.
Hmm.
The what happened changed, but the end result is another black person dead needlessly. That was the whole point commentary. That's the whole sequence, and I really like how they referenced the original movie with shadow puppets. That was super fucking cool.
Yes.
But yeah, the subtext is so deep here. I feel like there might be a spotlight episode someday on the pair of the movies. Someday.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a couple years, probably.
I will say this movie comes as close to perfection for me without reaching quite that level as potentially as I've ever experienced with a film. Because definitely there were like one or two things in there that I felt like, well, that could have been done a little bit better. But
Nothing's perfect, right? So
like 9 out of 10. This is really fucking good. This movie went above and beyond my expectations in ways I can't fully encompass right now. You know?
I mean, like it literally blasted every expectation that I could have ever had for the movie completely out of the water. Like it was beyond like better than it needed to be. This could have just been a 7 out of 10 movie. I've been pretty happy. Probably still would have bought it. But this was a 9 out of 10. Like I give this movie a 9 out of fucking 10. This is so fucking good. It might go up to a 10 out of 10 with rewatches. I don't know. I have to.
It almost in a way felt, and I don't think it was better than the original, but like
No.
it felt better. It in some ways it felt like it was even better than the original.
I think it's on par. I think they're both 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think that's why I think it's actually very, very good to watch both movies in a row because I think and they're so tightly knit. They could call them one movie if you wanted, like with a generation gap between.
Yes.
It's like part 1, part 2 of a 2-part big movie or whatever. Like it feels, you
can feel the influence of like Jordan Peele in this too.
I mean,
really
yeah, I guess I don't know.
But he himself, of course, is probably influenced by like, the original Candyman and things like that. So
Yeah, I mean, it's all cyclical, right? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm influenced by this, you're influenced by that, and then we make something which influences something, and yeah. Wasn't Jordan Peele a producer on this movie?
I think so.
Yes, he
yeah.
was. Yeah. I don't know that like I don't know how it's referencing Jordan Peele. To be fair, I've only seen.
I don't think it's referencing. I think it's like he was influential. Is what I said.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I agree with that, but like I've only seen Get Out and Us.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is like without movies like that,
I've only seen them
that
once each, so
this movie wouldn't have been made the way that it was. I don't think if those movies hadn't been popular.
I want to see Nope very badly. Nope is high in my wants. I would like to see Get Out and Us again at some point because there's a lot of stuff that I think I could like peel into, cut into, whatever. There's like something to talk about there, and I would definitely need to watch it again. And I feel like I've only seen each once, and I think that's like he definitely probably has a style, but I haven't noticed it. Right, like it's one of those things where sometimes the style's not evident until you see it a few times. You're like, okay. Ooh, excuse me. Whoa. God, that's terrible. So The Last Dragon will be the last movie we talk about.
Oh my god.
We can't talk about Ninja the Violent Sorcerer because I just had nothing to say about the fucking movie.
Me either. The Last Dragon was
Incredible.
yeah.
Understatement.
Motown influence on this was
Well, Motown Records
very evident.
producer Barry Gordy paid for this movie, so
Yeah.
it stars a bunch of Motown stars,
Mm-hmm.
including what Vanity, isn't that right? Yeah, Vanity.
But I can see why it has become and became what like almost instantaneously a cult classic.
It's
Because
a cult classic. I love this movie.
because it's extremely enjoyable. Like I don't think I would say it's like a really great movie, but I would say it's really enjoyable.
It's a
It's
fucking 7 out of
genuinely
10 for
fun
me.
to
Like
watch. Like
it's a film. It's really a time capsule of the time and place, right?
mhm.
Of that part of New York, like literally
At that time.
at that time, yeah. And like it's got all these really nice, loving homages to kung fu films, Bruce Lee especially.
Mhm.
But it's got its own like heart. There's like its own heart there. It's like trying to
I
just
think my
make you a
favorite
genuinely
scene-
fun movie.
My favorite scene is the theater scene because like it's been many years since I've been in a theater that was that raucous before, but
Hmm.
there used to be like it's hard to explain to people nowadays in a world where theaters look nothing like that and most people would never enter a theater in which that was what the atmosphere was like.
I would love to do
But,
that
like-
willingly. I wouldn't want to go to like a serious movie and have that happen. But like, if I went to a movie knowing that could happen, I'd be fine with that. It's like, oh, okay, there could be an additional fun element to the movie.
What I'm trying to say though is
Sorry.
that kind of thing actually did happen. That was actually what the atmosphere was like in certain places in definitely in New York at that time for sure.
Hello.
But like
Bye,
I even had experiences like that growing up in like a fucking
Portland,
mid-sized city in Washington. You
Washington,
know, like
whatever. Yeah,
so like it was an experience you could expect
it's
to have
rotoscope.
in
Pretty sure.
in a theater in like the 80s and the 70s and whatnot. So and the 90s to a lesser extent, but still then too. That like I've never had that experience since. I don't know if it exists anymore. It probably does in some places, but like
I want to go to where these places
That's-
are filmed. Like that
it's
theater.
that time capsule thing, right? That
That
I'm like,
theater was filmed
Yeah.
in. I want to go back and see this movie on the day of release in that theater. And I want to see it because that crowd was probably that fucking rowdy and loud.
yeah,
You know, it's like the setting feels a certain way in those films. It really does. Yeah, yeah. Grew up in the South, and it just has this 80s and 90s grimy big city vibe, like Ninja Turtles. Exactly. Yeah.
yes,
That's because it's in an era when 42nd Street was legitimately dangerous, but also was the hub of activity for exploitation films. Like, that one street was in, like, most major cities, like Houston and Seattle and Los Angeles. There's probably some in Florida. I'm not familiar with the southern ones, right? But there were these grindhouses where there's like 5 or 10 or 20 theaters in a row showing movies at every hour. And then there's and then it's a constant influx of new movies. So there's literally a grindhouse where they show your movie for a week, next movie, show your movie for a week, next movie, and there's so many movies coming out that you could just pick a pile of movies type deal, you know. In an era when there's the most movies being made, most time, of course, a lot of it was maybe drug money and laundered money, which is why you can never fucking get home video releases of some of those movies, like. But they're and each one of them is like this tiny little time capsule. Not all of them are good, but they're all these little tiny time capsules of time and place. And The Last Dragon is one of those time capsules, a particularly delicious one, because it's just a genuinely fun movie and funny movie outside of the references and outside of like any other kind of outside influence. It's just a fun movie, like at its core.
Show enough.
Show enough. I love that fucking movie so much. I decided to choose this because we've been watching The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. and Julius Carey is in that also. He's shown up in the movie, and he's also Lord Bowler in Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. He was an incredible actor who was taken from this earth far too soon because of cancer, so fuck cancer.
Damn. Yeah, fuck cancer.
That's the last for movies. Did you see anything interesting in between the last 3 weeks? 2 weeks?
Nothing I can remember, honestly.
Let's see here.
I do recall watching something else, but like I don't remember anything about it.
Did you watch Werner Herzog's Nosferatu from the Joe Bob?
No. I watched the original Nosferatu on Joe Bob, and then after that I had to start working, so
it was look. I love Werner Herzog. I love Klaus Kinski, not as a person, he's a shithead, as an actor. I love the subject matter. It was dull. It was just dull. I'm sorry. I wish I liked it more. I really do. I gave it a 6 out of 10. It was dull. Beautifully shot, beautifully acted. Nothing fucking happens. 6 out of 10. It's like Hawk the Slayer. Beautifully well shot, fun little atmosphere. Nothing fucking happens. 6 out of 10. Didn't hate it. You know? I think I revisited the Babadook. That happened right before I went on vacation. And the friend it was after we recorded our episode. It was a friend who had never seen Babadook. And it's interesting. I got this is my third watch through of Babadook, and I got like the sense of like
was it like a different experience this time?
Yeah, it was like different, very different. As someone who has a mood disorder, I can relate heavily to a character who also has a mood disorder, where literally 1 minute you're fine and the next minute you're just... For me, it's like cyclical in like hours or maybe minutes. Rarely do I shift so fast that I go like from happy to sad or whatever within minutes. Usually it's like hours, a couple hours. And I can just... Something can trigger it, nothing can trigger it. I can literally just be sitting here reading my favorite book or whatever. And suddenly, boom. Melancholy, the depths I've never known before. Since the last time I was that deep in melancholy, you know? And then it's gone a couple hours later. Mood disorder, it's fun. Not really. I don't suggest it to anybody.
Bullshit.
But Babadook, I think, encapsulates a lot of that feeling, like that creeping depression, the PTSD of the survivor depression of like, because like I've had a partner die, so like I wasn't with them, you know, but like still fucking hurt. So like I had like that shit buried for years, you know. I never really talked about any of that for years. I just started dealing with the grief. I just fucking walked away from the grief and put it in a little box and hid it, right? Not a healthy reaction. So, like, that box is the book that the Babadook reads. She's always had that book. She doesn't remember putting that into that book, that grief in that book. When she opened it and read the book, she invited the grief back in, right? Mm-hmm. Essentially. So, as someone who has dealt recently in the last year or two for the first time with some of those very big, very powerful grief emotions. This Babadook really fucking like cut deep this time. It really like fuck. I don't know. Like
I know what that experience is like. Last year, this is not a movie, but it was like last year. I thought I had completely fucking dealt with like the death of my father because he died more than 15 years ago now, right? And it really is true. Like you never know when it's really going to hit you, but eventually it will. 15 years later, it hit me as I'm listening to uh, The Black Parade, My Chemical Romance,
oh
which
really?
I
Wow.
didn't I didn't like that song when it first came out.
I'm
And it
still not a
first came
fan,
out
but
like it
yeah.
came out like 1 or 2 years after my dad died, actually. So like I was at the time that that song came out, I was not engaging with the message of it at all. And it's not that I hated it or anything. I just felt like,
One of my exes was super into
this
them.
isn't my kind of song. This isn't my kind of music. I'm not a big fan, right? But listening to it last year, I had a fucking moment, just fucking lost it because I like connected to the message of the song in a way I never had before, and I never had allowed myself to before. So like, it's interesting how art can hit you differently in different times of your life.
Which is why I
It's
recommend
like your
rewatching
mind,
or re-experiencing art that you maybe didn't
yes,
like into your younger self.
your mind sometimes, in order to protect you from yourself, to protect you uh, from itself, I guess is what I would say, right? It will make sure that you're not necessarily connecting on an emotional level with a piece of art or whatever it is that might be triggering for you, right? Like it protects you from things that trigger you. That's what your mind does, and that's a good thing that it does that. But at the same time, like at some point, it is helpful for you to be able to move on from those things, and the only way to move on from those
The
things is to engage with them.
the
And
thing, yeah. Go
at
ahead.
that point, when you're ready for that, the idea is that hopefully at some point you'll be ready for it, and when you are ready for it, uh, then it'll just naturally occur, and you'll naturally experience it the next time you engage with it. You
I
know,
I wrote some time ago that grief is a stalking tiger. You might
that's a
have
great
defeated it in the
fucking line.
past, but it's come back. It comes back. It comes back to hurt you. And it doesn't matter how over you are a thing that happened to you is.
Hmm.
The grief will fucking find you at your weakest moment, or when it thinks you're the weakest moment, and it'll strike.
You're like, oh, I've dealt with that. I'm fine with that. It's all good now. It's like you don't know that. There's no knowing for sure that you'll ever 100% be over anything. Like that's, I hate to say it, but it's true. You never know. You never know. And it's best that you approach life expecting that maybe you're going to have to struggle with this again at some point in the future, even if you're not
Something
right
will
now.
trigger, or something will bring it
You
back.
know.
Something will remind you of something you didn't resolve from it, from the whole issue.
Hmm.
And the other thing is like losing someone like that. A parent, I imagine, is very similar. I have thankfully not had to deal with that. Yes, I definitely knocked on wood. Um, but I have lost a partner, and I have lost a girlfriend, and I have lost friends, lost a lot of friends, and so like like it. The reason why I like the Babadook and Candyman so hard is that at the end of the movie, look, I have to do this quick spoiler to explain this. It's still chained in their basement because you never get over that grief of losing that person.
Hmm.
It just hurts less when dealing with it, and you gotta feed it every now and then so it doesn't consume you. Right? Like it's
Hmm.
like losing someone you thought was your love of your life, and they're just gone. They're just gone. You get a phone call and they're just gone. They're gone. You'd never see that person again. You never got to say final things to the person. There was no closure. It was one day she was here, and the next day she's gone. That's it. Like, fuck, dude. Like, Jesus. You don't get over that. You just get used to the pain. The pain becomes less. It becomes easier to distract yourself from the pain. It becomes bittersweet after a while, where it still hurts, but also you remember fondly instead of just thinking back to the negative things. Your brain goes to the fond
positive things. Yeah,
and it doesn't mean you don't cry over it. I mean, I miss Callie every fucking day. There's not a day that goes by where I wish I couldn't just fucking message her and just be like, hey, some cool shit happened. And, like, I used to do it all the time. It was like a daily thing. We talked all day, every day via text message. All day, every day. And, like, and then one day she just, I sent a message. There was no response. She lived at home because she was sick, right? And so she lived with her parents. And so, just, there was like 5 messages in a row. And, like, I knew. And I saw her mom calling, and I knew. I mean, like, I knew. I was like, god damn it. Like, I answered the phone and I just immediately started sobbing. I mean, like, how the fuck do you, like, I don't, fuck, it's like that. Not to get too raw on a fucking podcast, but, like, that was Babadook. Like, Babadook is that raw feeling that I visit once in a while to remind myself, and it hurts, but it's necessary to keep chained up in the basement. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
it just hit differently.
I
know they got very personal. I do apologize. I've written about it in my book. You can all read about that in the future. It's called Fragments. It'll be out sometime in the next 10 years. Still writing it.
I think it makes us stronger, though, to, like, engage with those things, because it's like the less you engage with those things, the difficult parts of your life, the more you bury it, the more it just ends up coming back with a vengeance and hurting you in other ways that can't be easily described,
Yeah, and, like,
so
grief is just, it's so hard to describe that feeling to somebody who's not been through something like that. Like, if you've never had to lose anyone close to you like that, it'd be completely foreign to you, the amount of agony one can feel. Like, I wanted to die in that moment. I wished in that moment that I was struck by lightning. Like, I didn't want to, why the fuck would I want to go and lift that fucking wound, I mean, I compartmentalized that and then, like, went on, because then, like, in short order, I got into an abusive relationship, so I had to, like, put everything away and just get myself out of that situation. And, like, that's when you didn't see me for, like, fucking much for, like, fucking a year. I was staying up till like 5 in the morning talking to that girl, and then, my ex, and then she died, and then while in grief, I got into an abusive relationship. Something happens when you are just trying to fill a void and you get involved with the wrong person, and, like, she didn't let me communicate with my older friends, but I was able to show up for Saturday Night Insanity, which is why sometimes then you'd only see me during Saturday Night Insanity for weeks on end, because I was going through that shit. Like, I don't know if you remember that time. That was years ago now. It's like 8 years ago.
No, my memory sucks.
So I didn't have time to deal with any of that. And then there was just one thing after the other, and it was like a pile of boxes, and they all came tumbling down in 2020, basically. It was like, yeah, stuck inside, all you can do is think.
Yep. And that's one of the reasons a lot of people had struggles with that was that like suddenly everybody's being forced to like, confront the darker parts of their human experience,
Yeah.
and it's the thing about living in a world where like you have to work for a fucking living, as fucking terrible as it can be for a lot of people, um is that it gives you an excuse to like put off those feelings, to put off having to think about that stuff, so that you just, well, I don't have time for that. I have to work right now. I don't have time for that. I have to do this right
Yep.
now. Right.
That's basically what it was. I have to survive
Suddenly you have
today.
time.
I have to
You have
survive
there's
today.
time now. And so when
There's
there's time
time
now,
now. There was
you
time now. Sorry.
when there's time and you have no excuse to make anymore, it will make its way
Yeah.
to the forefront. It's for many people going to be inescapable. So that's why a lot of people had that experience during COVID times, or during
I
the first few
I'm
years of
certainly
it.
not the only person doing a lot of soul searching when trapped indoors for years on end. So like I get it,
Mhm.
But yeah, some people became angrier and bitterer, and others
Yep.
healed. And I went with the rest of the people on healing. I think for like the first time in my entire life, my first time in my entire life, I'm actually like ready for a relationship. Like I've learned from a lot of mistakes. I've grown with a lot of tools, and I still am constantly working on myself. I'm not perfect, but like, yeah, I think that's like the first time in my whole life I'm like, yeah, I think I'm actually ready for a relationship. I'm not just jumping into one because I don't like being lonely. Past me.
That's good.
But if it was just I didn't want to be lonely, I would have had a partner by now, and I would not be happy. We should probably just get going. We're gonna watch movies, so thanks for hanging out with
Yeah.
us, nerds. We'll be back in 2 weeks for more of this at 8 p.m. Pacific time. I am also streaming on tomorrow. I was supposed to do D&D, but that got canceled. So tomorrow I will be streaming a bunch tomorrow, probably. I don't know what. Probably Slay the Spire, because I'm still trying to unlock everything with that fucking game. And maybe something else. I have a bunch of games on the Switch that I need to play. I don't know. I'll figure it out last minute like I normally do. But tomorrow I'll stream. I'm guessing it'll be around 1 p.m. Pacific time. Maybe earlier if I get up early. It depends. And then Friday I will be streaming in the evening, probably around around 3 or 4 p.m. Pacific time. Saturday is my day off, and every Sunday I stream at noon Pacific. Every Monday I stream at 1 p.m. Pacific, and every Sunday, sorry, it's noon Pacific. Every Monday is 1 p.m. Pacific, and every Tuesday is 12 noon Pacific. Those are my guaranteed days I stream every week, and every other week is a stream here. And every other thing else is just whatever I end up doing. I might stream on Saturday. I don't know. It just depends on how I feel. I do need to make up a lot of time because I was off for an entire week because I was on a vacation, first time since 2018. So, yeah. And it wasn't nothing. It was just 2 days, but there was a bunch of days of travel that I didn't. Yeah. Anyway, we'll be back then. Sorry for I'm high as fuck. So sorry for the really long diatribe and the 7-minute outro. I love you all.
Okay.
I hope
Check out my website, by the way, cinema.com.
Why don't you type that out in the chat for our viewers here?
Okay.
And now hit the little chat button so they can see. Where's my fucking chat button? And then
The most recent thing I wrote on there was
I also pimp my
an
merch.
explanation of why movies become public domain, or rather how they become public domain.
Pimping that merch because there's Couch Tomatoes shirts now. And you can wear our logo, that cute little potatoes, cute little tomatoes. I should make a potato variant.
I'm so upset. I got that shirt and then it immediately went missing. Like, what the fuck? Where did it go?
You like lost
Where
it in
the
your room somewhere?
Yeah. Where did it
Damn.
go? Where'd it go?
I was wondering why you weren't
Fuck!
wearing it. It's like if you were wearing it, I was gonna run over and get mine out of the laundry basket, but you weren't wearing yours. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna wear the frumpy ass shit.
Eventually, we will both find our shirt and we'll both be wearing it.
Well, I know where my shirt is. It's right there in my clothes pile. I'm just
Okay,
lazy.
well, I will find it, and then
Yes.
we will both.
There'll be an episode where we both wear the merch shirt.
Yes.
But yeah, you can buy that, or you can buy my Skin Slip Super Nerd shirt, which is this logo right here. I am working with the artist to make a design featuring my persona. I'm probably gonna do some sort of movie poster mockery type deal. I just have to figure out what I want to do with it and who I want the artist to be. I really also kind of I really want to do a trans pride shirt that was devoid of any kind of IP that I could just sell, because I wanted a trans pride shirt, especially since we're going to Pride Month in 7 days, 6 days, or whatever. 6 days, 5 days, whatever it is. But I don't have time to get that commissioned, so
6 days.
it doesn't matter. Maybe next year I'll have a pride shirt. And I want one that, like, someone who has no idea that I stream or no idea about the podcast would want to wear. Just a straight-up design would be really cool. And I just don't know what I want yet. And I'm ruminating. It'll be some time. But I'm hoping by next year. I wanted to get done by this year's Pride, but things are a little hectic. Next year's Pride, I'm hoping to have that. I might have it up way before then, because I really do want to get that done. Hopefully soon. Anyway. Long outro is even longer. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.